Right, sorry about that. Right, in relation to energy and my thoughts on energy is that the whole space is energy. And then you hear these people on the television and they state that 20 billion years ago two black holes bumped into each other and it created a tremor that went across space that they picked up. They've got no proof to this, but then on the other hand they turn around and say that space is nothing. Well, if supposedly these two black holes did bump into each other 20 billion years ago and that ripple went through space, as my voice talks to you, your ears unjumble that vibration through the atmosphere of Earth, the matter of which it travels through, and your ears sort it out and it becomes words in your head. Well, that tremor of voice has resonated through the matter between us. Well, for it space to be nothing, what did that tremor travel across? So there must be something there. And then they only talk of Earth and our galaxy, and then somebody stands there and says the measurement from that galaxy to that galaxy is so many billions of miles. And because he works in NASA, he's then given an honorary title on something that just cannot be proved. And what a fortunate position to be in. And yet when you ask the question like I have, they all know it's not possible, it's not possible. They will not even look at it. So now I'd like to explain to you what energy really is. And energy is the thing that unites every single thing there is throughout the whole of the universe and beyond. And that's energy itself. And if you think about it, if we was to put all of our galaxy in the sun right out to the furthest Pluto, wherever, and put that in one drop of water, put that on the end of my finger, and then drop that into the Pacific Ocean, you might get some idea of how small we really are. So therefore, in relation to that one cell in my body that contains blood, but it contains energy. Every breath I take is one small part of that breath is energy. And that molecule in my body joins together and creates the human body. How small that molecule is to me, but it gives me life. Could it be that Earth is the same in degree of size to the universe as that molecule is in my body? So therefore, energy is the existence of it all. So the relationship is that there must be two forces. We know that energy is fluidity or movement, and it's the solid, static antimatter, which is the planets. So that's the two sides of it. Well, inside that there must be two forces. And if you put a ball in the middle of a pond and spin it, you will see the water going in towards that ball. That's because I have spun that ball, and its rotation has created a gravity, a pull into the centre of that ball, and the ripples all go in towards that ball. The further out you go, you will see that the waves, the ripples, are going in the opposite direction. If you go to our sun, we rotate this way. If you go out to Pluto, it rotates in the opposite direction. So does that prove that energy at the strongest point is going one direction, but it's going the opposite direction further out? So there's the two forces. We know the forces. So I'd like to take firstly the vacuum force. Let's take a door closer. In a school full of children, this door opens and shuts with that vacuum closer. That door is opened God knows how many times during the day, and in its lifetime in that school with all them children, that is opened day after day after day. And the compaction of that vacuum force inside it retracts the door, and that's the force of that door. That force never depletes, but the force is stretched. They say, well, it's the arm opening the door. We know that. But I want to say, firstly, we're talking about that force. That force is retracting that door in. So the force remains a constant. It's always there. It never depletes. It can't deplete because it's in a sealed unit. So therefore, it proves that force will move. As you've opened it by your arm, the force will counteract that and pull it back closed. That's the first thing. Now we go to pressure force. Now on your car, your car has got one of these, or probably four, but inside there is either a fluid, which is still molecular because it's fluidity, or it's air. And if it's compaction of air, for every bump you hit, it absorbs that impact, the force inside it takes that and pushes that suspension unit back out. So you get a comfortable ride. So it proves that forces of compaction or expansion only know one thing, to expand or contract. And that's the two forces we're talking about. If you take the two forces and put them into two spheres, cylindrical spheres, that are totally sealed, and they've got a 50-pound resistance pressure outside. Inside I was to put 40 pound of vacuum force and 40 pound of positive pressure force and contained them in them two spheres. If I come back in 1,000 years time and took the pressure of them, they would still be the same. There's been no depletion on the outside rim, so the force remains eternal. It's a continuum. As I stated, we on Earth, we only deal in forces. Energy is what we are working against. So if you take this car, the force of the engine drives it forward. It could be expansion of fossil fuels. The explosion of fuel creates a compaction of molecules of energy and drives the shaft round, it makes the back wheels go, and it goes down the road. As it goes down the road, it's a resistance, which is the force of air, the pressure, air pressure, and that's the force. All of the time, underneath it, it's got gravity force. The gravity force is pulling that down into the car. Some cars go faster because, like a Formula 1, they're airline streamlined to make the resistance less. Therefore, in that tyre is a force of pressure, 32 pound per square inch, and at every bump and pothole you hit, that pressure remains, moving about inside the tyre as the tyre is distorted in shape. And remember, it's always flat at the bottom part. That movement of force inside there is continuous. And if I drove that car 300 miles and at every bump in the road, the pressure remained, as long as that tyre remained intact, it would contain that 35 pound of pressure. The outside, we'll come back to that in 1 minute, but if I opened the valve and let the air out after 3 hours of driving, the air inside that tyre would only be warm. And that is because the friction between the tyre and the road has caused heat in the rubber. This transference of that heat has gone through into the tyre, into the air inside, and it's warm. But that's after 3 hours. So therefore it will continue to perform. So those two forces I took and I put into a device like this. The green one is a vacuum force, the red one is positive pressure force. It goes down in the pipework and it goes across the 6 chambers. The 6 chambers are solid in the top part of the chamber. No depletion of any force there. The bottom section, the black line, is a diaphragm or a membrane, a barrier. And that barrier has got flexibility in it. If I was to switch on the vacuum force, all of the 6 chambers would all suck the diaphragm to the top. Then I was to put on the positive pressure force, which goes down and goes to the centre of each of the domes, and it pushes the barrier away. So therefore you've got a force of, say, 50 pound per square inch positive pressure, 50 pound per square inch negative pressure. They would both hit that barrier, create a straight line, which is the equilibrium, and therefore it wouldn't move. But what we've done is we've took from the bottom of that diaphragm 6 con rods, and the con rods are all attached to the flywheel at the bottom in 6 different positions, starting on the first one, which is 12 o'clock, then 2 o'clock, then 4, then 6, then 8, then 10. And as that rotation commences, immediately after 12 comes 2, then after 12 comes 4. So as it rotates, it creates a corkscrew of movement, and at all times the 2 forces are counteracting each other in different positions on that membrane all of the time in a rotational corkscrew-like phase. One force is pushing up, one force is pushing down. There is nowhere for that force to stop. No equilibrium can be reached because the crankshaft positioning has created an uneven balance. Like the outside of the stratosphere of this Earth, the vacuum of space and the pressure of Earth, as that rotates, then molecules are flying over each other, all bouncing off each other. They can't intermingle because they're different, but the forces of them creates the rotation of this planet Earth. And in this, the microsecond that those 2 forces exert movement, which they are allowed to because the flywheel has given them that, the barrier is the least resistant, so the 2 forces will commence their movement. And that's what it does. So I go to the next one. And the next one is exactly the same, but it's highlighted 1 to 6. And we will say that number 1 is at top dead centre. Number 4 is at top bottom dead centre. Now they asked, where does the energy come from? As I've stated, every molecule of air has got 78% hydrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% argon, but somewhere that unites it all together is that molecule of energy itself. So you can't create energy, you can transfer energy. Number 1 has reached top compaction, this one has reached bottom expansion. As they commence to the next chamber, corkscrew of movement, that is the transference of energy from one chamber to the next. And if I carried that on for 20 miles, that would still create this corkscrew at all times. Both forces are equal, they cannot deplete, they are only allowed to move. Forces will move. So you turn around and say, oh, it'll heat up. Well, there's no friction in it, like the air in the tyre, there's no friction. The bottom section, the shaft, that would be covered in oil, just like a car engine. But the actual forces would never meet. They only meet via the barrier. So the vacuum force creates no heat that can go to the chambers. The positive fire, just in case, it can go down through a fan, and as the fan rotates, it cools down the air. But if you think about it, energy, we'll say, is a living entity. It must be living for everything on this universe and space and everywhere else to exist. Energy is alive. So therefore, if energy disperses the heat from the sun away as quick as it can, then this appliance, if it starts to heat up, it will cool itself down until it finds an equilibrium, as I've stated, by rotating it even faster. Now, this device will, let's say, 10 pound of pressure in each one, 10 pound of force. That could rotate a dynamo, create 12 volts, 24 volts, every day of your life. Get in your car, drive around this world, and it'll never stop. You just get in it the next day, you never have to call into a petrol station. Imagine what that's going to do to our planet. Every car, every van, every truck, everyone can have one. If you build that bigger, you could have a series of battery cells in your house, and you could charge the batteries up. Now, if you can create 12 to 24 volts smaller, say 300 mil by 150 mil by 100, and that will run in your car all day long. Now, if you have to build one, say the size of a toolbox, you could have this house, be a series of battery cells, and as you use your electricity, it sensor tells the batteries are going down, switches this on, recharges the batteries, and then you've got electricity all times in your house how much on them two occurrences, fuel in your car, electricity in your house, how much is that going to save you? My estimation in relation to that size of 300, 150 by 100 for your car, I wouldn't think that would go any higher than £500. But you've now got as long as you like, with no petrol costs, no electricity, you're not connected to the national grid. Then you'll hear people jumping and say, hang on, perpetual motion must last 100 trillion years or till the world goes black, or the universe goes black. You're absolutely right. But what I'm doing is, I'm using the energy of all life that we all live in to run this. But this device is made out of man-made products. So it's got a lifespan. Now maybe that will last 20 to 25 years. A car engine does 200,000 miles and lasts 10 to 15. But this, 25 years, think for a second how much petrol you buy 25 years. Now think of your electricity bills for 25 years. And then I say this, probably 500 quid, series of batteries, £200, you're done. And that's what you've got. But will they listen? No. They will say, no, it's not possible, it's not possible, it's not possible. And there, if you can zoom in wherever you're watching this, you will see that's a continuum of perpetual motion of molecular energy. One in reverse, one in forward. And they can never stop, and they will only do one thing, and that is to move. The contraction wants to contract, the expansion wants to expand. And they do that by the flexibility of the barrier. They can never ever stop. And when that's done, you'll end up with something that looks like that. All the workings is inside, the two chambers on the top, with one with vacuum pulse and one with pressure pulse. They go down into the continuum chamber. There is the tom rods and there is the crankshaft. Now you can fit that crankshaft and you can run anything you like. But the best thing is, if you go to the arid countries where they've got no water, where we all donate to them, we all have Live Aid, they can have these, and they tell us that with scientific equipment they can work out where the water is. Well, couldn't they have one of these attached to a pump, pumping up water all day, every day of their lives? And they can become part of the human race. We don't have to keep worrying about them poor big buggers dying, seeing films of children dying. We don't have to watch this no more. And this is what it's all about. It's not whether I make money. I'm not bothered about this no more. This belongs to the planet. And so therefore, that's why I've written. But no answers do I get, because they've already jumped on it like everything else across this space. Black holes bouncing into each other. What proof have they got of this? Energy is pulsing across space at all times. You could pick that up. But what I'm saying to you is, they will stand there and they will go, no, it's not possible, it's not possible. They will not look at it, but they will not answer, because they haven't got an answer. They live in this world, cocoon world. Now whether it's admins that took control, oh that's a hoax, I'm not going to deal with that, that's a hoax. I don't know. But what it is the people of this planet are starting to die. Because if you take all of the carbons out that we create, what illnesses could we prevent then? Nobody can answer that one. Would this work? No one will answer it. They'll all assume it won't. But it's there. And then they turn around and say, this is a hoax. Do you honestly think that I would spend 8 years, 700 letters, an incredible amount of sitting around waiting and boredom and suffering all that rejection if this was a hoax? No way. This belongs to you. This belongs to this planet. I live on this planet. My children live on this planet, and I've got a compassion for this planet you wouldn't believe. If that comes out, it will do untold damage to the economies. So I asked the leaders to look at it so they can control it. But now it goes out live. Everybody can have it. I apologise, whatever it causes, but you now get a cleaner earth. And that's as much as I can say. So take it away. There it is. You can work it out. You can go, people who've got money, they can build them. Everybody gets clean power. No more petrol bills, no more electric bills. The earth is yours. And I want to finish off by calling this for all you people out there. And I have got a compassion for you because I've tried to get this regulated, a transformation period installed by the leaders of this planet. They wouldn't listen. So therefore, I finish off by saying, I call it the equaliser. Because instead of you being governed by fuel costs, none of you will have them anymore. So therefore, you all become equal. Every country is equal. There ain't no superpower countries of power when this is out there. If you don't believe it works, go and check it out. If somebody says to you it won't work, ask them why. Ask them simple. Explain to me how that will not work. Because if that doesn't work, then what we suffer at our stratosphere is a dream. It doesn't work. Something must unite us all. It unites everything in space, it unites everything on Earth, and that is the molecular fluidity and the solidity of solid antimatter. And the two are the two bases to which you and I all live on this planet. Ask your leaders, is this real? Will it work? They will turn around and say, oh no, because they haven't got an answer. And it's as simple as that. I wish you all the best and enjoy your carbon-free lives. Take care. See ya.